of farms which needs to be developed and managed. So the division will be responsible for that. So the development and implementation of this strategy will have a significant impact, especially on the following. We want to create jobs through a comprehensive farm support program. We would like to boost the city's economy with correct investment and collaboration. And I believe that those who will be bidding will be coming in with some investment into the city. We will also support them in order to match whatever they might be bringing into the city as investment through that agricultural and agro-processing development. We also look at providing skills and also to capacitate our farmers. We also look at sustainable production of crops with high yields from the high potential agricultural farms which are going to be allocated to the farmers. So, and we also need to look at import substitution. When we talk about sustainable production of crops, we know that as the city, we import a lot of products coming from other provinces either for processing or to be consumed as fresh. Are being shipped from other provinces. So we would like to also look at how can we reduce imports from other provinces into our city, if I can be specific, to Gauteng. So if we get more farmers who can produce enough to substitute what we are shipping out from out of the province, that will be a bonus. And the issue of improving food security is very key. We need to improve our food security through different levels of categorized levels of farms which are going to be allocated to the development department within the city. We focused on 5 key actions which needs to be actioned as in yesterday. So our first action is to focus on land release program support, which the support we are talking to now will focus mainly on non and financial support. So when we talk about non-financial support, we are referring to the training which those who are going to be allocated farms will be getting from the city. It will be different trainings in various industry of the sector, as well as the financial support, which will be brought into to support those who have qualified, which might be either in the form of infrastructure, which will be required on farm, or it might be in the form of the irrigation system, which will be required, and etc. So the second action which the department is going to look at is on the development of sustainable production system. And the question will be, what do you mean by the sustainable production system? We need to move away from the old way of production. We need to comply with the high-tech production system which other countries or other provinces or other farmers are currently using to produce more on a less hectareage. Well, I'm referring to less land. So we are going to look at that as well. We will be supported by the likes of other institutions in the form of partnerships such as ARC, the universities around Gauteng, and other farmers association, organized agriculture, to really handhold us into these sustainable production systems. Knowledge support and capacity building. This is the key. So once the successful breeders have been allocated, their farms, we will just need to make sure that they are supported in the form of the knowledge, as well as training them or capacitating them so that they can able to implement their project in a successful and sustainable manner. Funding and investment, we touched on that. We'll go to different financial institutions. The partnership has already been forged. We will be working with different financial institutions to really get financial support from them, as well as the investment support, which I mean, if they, for example, if we get CASP to come on board and provide us with the infrastructure support, we will be able to look at how can we invest together in partnering with the likes of the National Department through their CASP program. Institutional linkage development, this is the key as well. So we will be looking at how can we work together with other institutions to link our farmers through various requirements which the farmers will need, such as markets. Here we can talk about, if I can just give you an example, if you look at the aggregator models, which companies such as Tiger Brands is doing, so we will be linking our farmers to such kind of an aggregator model where the farmers can produce and get support from such kind of big conglomerate to supply them with the produce or the raw material which the companies will require, which will be deemed fit for human consumption. So in the process, they will take us through the process to give us the standards and which we have to adhere to when we are developing our potential bidders. I would like to stop there, and then if there are any questions, we will attend to those questions after a presentation by our divisional head for supply chain. I would like to call upon Ms. Mpho to come on the podium to tell us the process flow on how the forms should be completed, what the potential bidders should look at when they are completing the forms, so that all the information required are captured on the tender document. So without wasting time, I would like to call upon our divisional head supply chain to come and give us more information about on how to complete the tender document. Thank you very much.
Again, my name is Mpho. The presentation will say Mputi, but I'm now Mgengo. We're all still just getting used to the new surname. I'm the divisional head responsible for supply chain management in the city of Ekurhuleni. Mainly, I'm responsible for making sure a bulk of my responsibilities is with regards to making sure that the spending of the budget in the process of ensuring service delivery is done in terms of all the applicable legislation, primary legislation being the MFMA regulations as well as the Triple PFA. There are other secondary regulations, but those are the two that we primarily deal with at SCM. This particular tender is a different one from what we normally do. Normally in supply chain we would be buying, but in this particular instance we are making land available to prospective bidders to utilize to benefit the region at large. I think they're just running behind, but the slides will be uploaded. The purpose of me being here today, I'm not going to go into detail with regards to a full procurement process because I think we may have an understanding of what that is. However, I thought it would be important for me today to share some of the common mistakes that we do pick up when we are evaluating bids, and that may maybe assist in terms of the preparation process before the submission of this particular item. So I'm going to go through, I think it's 2 slides where I'm going to share common errors that we've picked up in the procurement processes that are resulting in bids being rejected and ultimately not being considered for the particular items. And then I'm also going to try and explain the concept of a functionality criteria, which is a concept that is not utilized with every item, and it's not popular in our space, but is particularly applicable on this bid. And then just last, I'm going to rehash on the vision for the project itself, and then I'll close, and I think after the session will then be the questions and the answers. On the purpose slide, there are 2 points. The one being the most important is to bring awareness on some of the common mistakes that we've identified during evaluation processes. The second point states that it's to assist suppliers in maximizing their chances of scoring points. Without giving anyone any preferential treatment, I'm just going to share in general how best the prospective bidders can respond, which is information that is available to everyone in the public in terms of bettering their chances in the response to the bid. Common errors that we've identified that bidders make is the bid document is quite a bulky document, and we've seen instances where not all declarations that form part of the bid document have been completed. There are a number of declarations in each bid document, and these are important in various aspects of being able to confirm different things that are required from a legislative perspective. So one is the failure to sign all declarations and ensure that they are also signed by witnesses. The second one that is quite common is the bidders meeting our 10 o'clock deadline. All our bidders close at 10 a.m. on the day that the bid closes. And we've seen quite a trend in terms of bids that are being submitted late, and late bids are not considered during the evaluation processes. The third one is the tax compliance statuses of the bidders. I think we've moved from a premise where we were relying on tax clearance certificates, and now bidders need to make sure that their tax compliance status reflects that they are compliant on CSD, CSD being the Central Supplier Database, that is the custodian of the database being National Treasury. So that's what we use to now confirm tax compliance, and we no longer rely on tax clearance certificates. So it becomes the bidder's responsibility to ensure that they reflect as compliant on CSD, and if they do not reflect as compliant, then they take it up with SARS and deal with whatever discrepancies there may be to ensure that it doesn't affect the outcome of the tender process. Non-compliance with bid specifications. In the city, we have what we call a general criteria. In most instances, it would have 5 criteria that we will evaluate. I think the challenge with the specification is sometimes we don't get attachments of all the documents that we need to confirm some of the aspects that we've advertised, and that hampers the process in terms of allocating points to prospective bidders, and that will negatively impact the outcome of the bidder in this particular process. We've seen instances where we've requested relevant experience. Although experience is given by bidders, it's not the relevant experience that has been requested as part of the bid. Especially this one being special in nature and not just a matter of us procuring something, it's going to become important that the documents that are included in the bid document for the points relating to experience are worded correctly so that we are able to confirm that the experience is relevant. The submission of annual financial statements, 3 years financial statements where applicable. In this particular bid, it is applicable. We do request that you submit the most recent 3 years financial statements, and we've seen that most bidders will submit 1 or 2, and it does negatively impact the process in terms of evaluation. Failure to complete the bid in full. Failure to complete the bid in full with specific emphasis on the BOQ. I think bidders need to understand that the competitive part of the procurement process is where we compete on price. So we just need to make sure that that section, we call it Schedule K in the bid documents, is properly completed so that we are able to reach the correct conclusions in terms of the numbers that the bidders are going to provide to us. The submission of municipal rates, we've seen municipal rates being submitted. However, bidders need to ensure that their municipal rates are not in areas by more than 90 days, because if they are, it is going to be a reason for rejection and the bid will not be considered. The next one is obtaining enough points for functionality. I think we can just hold on to that particular point because in my next slide, I'm going to explain exactly what functionality is and how it works in this particular bid. The submission of BBBE certificates, we only accept originals or certified copies. We've seen a lot of instances where bidders have submitted copies of a certified copy, and that warrants a disqualification as well. Incorrect BBBE certificate. I think in most instances, bidders do a sworn affidavit, and when a sworn affidavit is done, we just need to make sure that we are completing the correct one. There are two types of sworn affidavits, an EME and a QSE, and it's determined by your previous turnover. So I think bidders just need to pay attention to make sure that whatever is in the financial statement is aligned to whatever BBBE certificate is going to be submitted. Subcontracting, which is a point that is not applicable particularly here, the declaration not correctly completed. And the last point just links to the point that I had made when I had the discussion on the general criteria, just making sure that the compulsory documents as listed in the bid document is submitted as part of the bid. And in brackets, I have the 5 working days because as a city for the past couple of years, we've allowed bidders to submit information within 5 working days after the submission of the bid. So what would normally happen is we would close the bid, and once we begin with evaluation processes and we identify certain information that has not been submitted with the bid, bidders would be allowed 5 working days to submit certain information, not all. For this particular bid, it's not applicable. The city has made a decision to discontinue that process because of the risks that it was exposing to the procurement processes. So in this particular instance, then it becomes important to submit all the supporting documents, especially the compulsory ones, with the bid on the date of closure. And then just to move on to functionality, under normal circumstances, our bids will be advertised with a general criteria. We will award points. We'll look at the BBBE certificate, also award points and look at the pricing, and then we would conclude. With this particular bid, it's a 2-stage bid. We call it a 2-stage bid. There is what we've built in as a functionality criteria in terms of the PPPFA. And the functionality criteria is mainly going to be looking at the quality of the submission. The importance of the functionality criteria in this particular aspect is the proposals that are going to be submitted are going to be different in nature. And we need to have a predetermined way of how we are going to assess them and allocate points. So that is what a functionality criteria is. And then just in terms of process, the functionality criteria is evaluated first before we look at the general criteria and the pricing in this particular instance. So if you don't meet the minimum points for the functionality, then your bid will not be evaluated any further. So this becomes a crucial point in the bidding process because it's the first stage that the bidders would need to pass in order to move on to the next stage. Then in the next slide, I just copied and pasted the actual functionality criteria that is in the bid document that is currently out on advert. And there are 6 aspects that the functionality criteria is going to look at. And you'll see the points are not allocated in the same manner for the 2 types of farms, depending on the size. We're going to look at the strategic management capability. And then on the right-hand side of the table, we are just giving pointers of what elements are specifically going to be looked at as part of the evaluation process. We're going to look at the financial ability, which is the turnover, the organizational track record, which points will be awarded on experience, which is what I've already spoken to make sure that that experience is relevant to the bid that you are responding to, the staffing and management experience, community development and empowerment, which is a crucial point. The purpose of this particular bid is also to make sure that we reinvest into the city of Ekurhuleni and we are able to develop the region. local ownership and operations. This will also take into account the residents that are going to be participating in the process. So from a procurement perspective, those I think are the key elements that I wanted to bring forth today. The issue of the functionality criteria, and it's important, and making sure that as part of the submission of the proposal, all those points that are going to be scored as part of the evaluation process are covered in the proposal, as well as making sure that all the documents that need to be submitted, especially compulsory document that we're going to need to be able to reach a conclusion, is submitted at closure of the bid, because no opportunity is going to be given thereafter for submission of any supporting documents. I think the first speaker had already alluded to the vision and why this project is happening and why it has come about. So just in closure, I wanted to remind all of us of the vision that we aim to achieve with the project, which is a transformed, more productive and sustainable agricultural sector that stimulates social and economic growth. That is the end of my presentation. I'm not sure if to head the questions and answer session. I'll just sit on the side in case there are any questions that I need to respond
to. Thank you very much, Mpo. I think her presentation was in detail, even though it was brief. And I hope those who are connected to different platforms heard everything. We've got farmers who are, with us today in the hall. So now I think we should open for a question and answer, so that we can, get more clarity, as well as, answers to those difficult questions which the potential bidders are currently having. So I would like to open this this opportunity for questions and answers. The answers will be coming from our side as city officials, and then the questions will be coming from potential. But feel free to ask us any question, either difficult or simple. We are here to assist you. Thank you very much. Take a set of 5 questions from the floor. I think we will start with our farmers who are currently with us in the hall, and then from there is then that we can go to those who are connected virtually. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mutwa Kumal. My question is on the issue of new entrants. Are the criteria are the same for the new entrants and the experienced one?
Okay, thank you very much. Your question is noted. Can we have another question from the floor?
Good afternoon. My question was on the new bidders. Like, if you don't have a company and actually want to bid, because what I've realized, they say they want a 3 months, 3 years financial statements. So I'm not sure what you do in that case. And the other question was, can you go individual instead of going through a company? And then if you go individual, you still need to submit all those documents which are required for as a company. And the last question is on the 90 days areas municipality bill. I just want to know if you're owing and you're not owing in Ekurhuleni, but you've got another address in Ekurhuleni, you still have to qualify for. Do they still go and check your rates on the other cities?
Can we have another hand from the floor? hand?
Thank you. My name is Takarani Tangwane. I just want to ask if, because some of us, and then we are working from somebody's premises, are we eligible to submit the tender documents? Thank you.
All right, I don't see a hand on the floor. So I'll assume that now the four questions can be, attended to, while, potential bidders or farmers are thinking about, other questions to ask as a follow-up after these four questions. Thank you. I would like to give Awesompo an opportunity to answer to the questions raised. Awesompo,
I'll start with the last and I'll just move up. In terms of leased property, you'll see in the bid document at the beginning of the municipal accounts declaration, it will first ask you whether the property is owned or leased. So yes, you are eligible to respond to the bid if it's leased property, and then you would obviously need to attach for us the lease agreement and possibly the municipal account for that particular property if you can get it. But I know that, I think we do acknowledge that that can be a challenge when you are on leased property, but yes, you are eligible, and then it would become compulsory for you to attach the lease agreement to confirm that you are leasing the property. Then in terms of rates in other cities, in the bid document, it's going to require that you provide us with the company address. And once you've provided us with that company address, then we will request the municipal account for the address that you've provided to us, irregardless of which city it is on. So the requirement is going to be applicable irregardless of where the property is situated. In terms of the 3 financial statements, in the actual bid documents where we cover the requirements of the 3 years financials, we do state that in an event where the company was not operating or a company is newly formed, there is just a letter that needs to be included as part of the bid document to indicate that, but also we are able to pick that up through the CIPC documents because they will have the registration dates of the company. So if it's a new company, then you are going to be exempted from the submission of the 3-year financial statements. And with regards to new entrants and experience is a requirement on the bid. And my advice is, should you not have experience, nothing stops us from pairing ourselves with someone that does have the experience, so that we are eligible to respond and possibly get the award. Because in reality, even on the ground, you are going to need some level of experience to be able to carry out the task. So yes, experience is a requirement, and my suggestion would be, let's start looking around in terms of partnerships so that we are able to work with other people to be able to achieve on the vision. In terms of the bidding processes, it would have to be a company, because there are certain prescripts that you won't be able to respond to as an individual, but rather as a company. So it's important that you register a company, because if, for example, financial statements, an individual does not prepare financial statements. It's a process that's done by a company through the requirements of the Companies Act.
Thank you very much, Awesompo, for detailed answers to our farmers. See another hand. Let us take the last hand from the floor, and then we will open up, the Teams, so that other participants who are connected on Teams should be able to ask questions.
Thank you very much. My question is on the issue of default judgments and emolument attachment orders. Do those count when one is applying for, is doing the bid? I'm asking if you are blacklisted, you've got a default judgment or an attachment. Does that disqualify one?
The way that I understand the question, it sounds like you are speaking as an individual. But when you respond to the bid, remember you are responding as a company. And the only blacklisting that is considered in the procurement process is the blacklisting at National Treasury, where you have been blacklisted as a director of a company or that particular company has been blacklisted. So that is the only blacklisting verification that we do as part of the procurement process.
Thank you very much, DH. I think you're all covered. Thank you very much. They are all covered. I would like to open for questions from the virtual platform, Teams, Facebook, YouTube, and other platforms if are available. Also like to apologize for poor quality sound, but our technicians are currently working on it at the back. I think we'll get the better quality sound as we move on. Yeah, we are about to start. Okay, the first question. Danny, Sam, whether the application forms made available. Yes, the application forms or the tender document will be available. You can get them from our Jimistin's offices. You can also download, but let me just send it over to Simple to attend to that.
Okay, thanks. The tender documents are available on the website. You can download and print it yourself. And then they can also be purchased on 68 Woburn Avenue, the finance office on the ground floor, if you'd like to purchase a printed version.
The other question was on the presentations. Will we make the presentations available? Yes, both presentation will be available. We'll, paste it on the website for all the participants to access them. So don't worry about the presentation. Different types of farming have different needs. How do we know which amenities, each plot of the land to allow us to build the land that's suitable for what we want to do? Things like electricity, water, fresh water, fencing, and etc. So on this one, there was the information which was sent in terms of the coordinates. So there are also maps available for those 45 farms which have been put on the list for the potential bidders to bid for. So information such as the infrastructure requirements, you'll be able to access that once you farm, or you can use the coordinates to check what is on the farm. Hear more about sharing the so far, those are the questions which we received from the floor on different platforms which are on visual. So if our farmers who are with us here would like to ask more questions, feel free to ask as we continue with this A&Q or Q&A session. Any question from the floor? We've got 2 hands from the floor.
My question was on the 5 hectares ones, the less than 5 hectares farms. I don't know whether I heard it correctly, because I heard this, you said, it's social farms, so they will want cooperatives to apply. Can companies apply as well, or it's mainly for cooperatives?
Can we have another question so that we can?
Good day, everyone. In terms of communication, is there any number that we can have in case we have got a problem, maybe in filling in the documents to clarify for us? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think I'll respond to the second question. The other question is a bit technical and farming related. I'm not an expert in the field. On the actual bid documents, the page that has the advert, there are contact details reflected. There's HOD, Economic Development, email address on there. And on the bid document as well, if it's anything compliance, supply chain related, there's also a contact detail from one of the team members from the demand management section that are able to assist.
Thank you very much, Asimpo. If you can, could you please rephrase the question on the 5 factors?
Have to understand mainly what is social funds, because you talked about cooperatives. But I was asking, if you are a company, like a small company, can you apply for those, or specifically for cooperatives?
Yeah, thank you very much. Now I understand the question. So we've got funds which ranges from 1 hectare to 5 hectares, and then we've got the other one which ranges from 5 hectares to. We understand that when we talk about social funds, you can produce, food which you can supply to your hospitals and da. So it's more about food security type of a business. So when we talk about commercial and or developed or commercial farms, we're talking about those who can just submit in black, who have contracts which are miss in terms of supplying the volumes which is required by the supplier. So on the social one, as a cooperative, that is where it covers from 1 hectare to 5 hectares. You can do that as a cooperative, and then from 5 hectares to 10 hectares. Depends on how big is a cooperative and how are you, as cooperative members, are you cooperating or are you working together? So, but feel free to do that. As a cooperative, you can apply for that. Thank you. Another 2 hands from the floor.
Yeah.
After these 2 hands, I will switching over to our visual platform so that we can also give them an opportunity to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to ask if, on the issue of cooperatives, if we form a cooperative today or tomorrow, can we bid for those social farms?
My sister actually asked the question whether the small holdings, the 1 to, let's say 1 to 10, are they targeting the co-ops? And you said yes. But then the question was, if you're not in a co-op, you're just in a company, can you still apply for that, for the small holdings one?
Very much. We've got 2 questions. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I will start with the last question. Yes, you are. If you've got a company, you are still allowed to go for the social funds, because it depends. That one will depend on how. How can I put it? It depends on the ability to farm. If you think you're small, so you better take the small one, because if you're small and then you go for a big one, you might be disqualified based on the criteria as alluded by from our supply chain. So my advice will be that if you think you still learning, so you better go for the small, plots, so that you don't easily get disqualified when they do the. So the other one, which was on cooperatives, yeah, with the cooperatives, you're more than you can register it today, because when it gets to supply chain, they will just assess it as a cooperative. They're not going to look at the date of when was it registered. So when they do their assessment, as she alluded earlier on, there are criteria which they are going to look at. So if you qualify, your experience, your this and that, other documents which you need to submit, you stand if you stand a better chance, and be shortlisted. So you can go tomorrow and register your company, or you can go tomorrow and register your cooperative. So the rest, I think the weight will be coming from your experience, the other documents which are required by supply chain. And then we will take it from there. Thank you very much. Now we are switching over to the virtual platform. Are we ready? We are, receiving a lot of questions from our virtual platform, but most of the questions are talking about where can they get the form. So the forms can be downloaded on the website, and then you can also go to the Germiston offices, finance, which is second floor, ground floor? Ground floor. So you can go there and buy the documents, or else you can download and then pay for the document online. So just look at a couple of questions coming from the floor. Yeah, people are talking about, this is a question coming from Tavita Mukwana. Please advise in regards to experience. Some of us have passion and know how to to do basic farming, and we'll be getting people with experience to assist in creating a building investment and growth in our municipality. How will that apply on the application where I can't specify and show many experience? I think our Simpo is sitting on the floor now. There's a roving mic, and then I think she can attend to that. But she touched on the partnership earlier on. So before I get more information from her, I will just advise Tavita that if you can partner with those who are experienced, I think you might score some points in your bid. Awesome Poise happy about my answer to that question. Then get to the next question. Hope, Tabitha, you are answered, but if not answered, feel free to give us a follow-up questions. Too long from the previous to get clear answers. So there were a few times where we signed amendments to postpone due to pandemic, which was understandable. So his question is, how long it will take This question comes from Buffett MacArthur. How long is the process going to take for bidders to get the answer? So I will just give this question to Asimpo to attend to it.
Thanks. Normally it becomes difficult to anticipate how long it will take because you don't know the extent of the responses that are going to be received. So it definitely depends on the number of responses that are going to be received. From a legislative perspective, we always try and complete processes within 120 days, which is not always possible. And trend has shown that with the pandemic as well, it is taking a bit more time because of some of the internal issues that we have to deal with as a result of the pandemic. So we will try our utmost best to do it within 120 days. But like I said, it depends on the number of responses that are received, as well as some of the challenges that we have to deal with as a result of the pandemic during the processes.
Thank you very much, Asimpo. I think that was clear and loud. So I would like to give an opportunity to those who are on Teams to unmute themselves, raise up their hand, or shout if it's possible. So our technical specialists are going to control, those who will be coming in to raise hands as well as questions through a voice. So what I'm trying to say here is, you can raise your hand while you're on different platforms, and then you can unmute yourself and then shout, ask a question. We can be able to hear you now. Thank you. Question from the floor, from the farmers who are with us, while those who are on the different platforms are preparing for. I can see a hand from Noma Temba. Noma Temba, could you please unmute yourself and ask a question? Noma Temba, can you hear us? I know Matemba, is that an old hand or okay? Right, any questions from the floor in the meantime? Our farmers. Are you happy? Are you sorted? No more questions?
I'm asking if somebody is new, is aspiring to get into farming, does the city have a program of providing inputs, things like seeds and stuff like that?
Thank you very much. Yes, the city will be able to assist. As we alluded in the first presentation, we said that we've got different pillars or priorities which the city is going to look at. So one is the land release program, which needs to be supported by different other pillars. don't start something which will, which will not, be sustainable or will not last. So once we get become a successful bidder, we will be able to handhold you, and those, depending on different stakeholders who will be able to support you. Get support from the city, all the various type of assistance which you might need for your farm to be sustainable and September. Please rejoin. Please rejoin. I can see here you're saying that struggling to rejoin. Please rejoin and ask us a question. In terms of the website, as we are waiting for the questions from different platforms, so the website which potential farmers should go to is www.ekurhuleni.gov.za. I repeat, www.ekurhuleni.gov.za. So you will go there and you can go to tenders, and then you go to, that's where you will go to, you go to tenders, and then you see the land tender, and then you can download and complete the form or the tender document and however, those who have sent us their email addresses will be able to respond to their questions and provide them with the necessary which to the tender. All the information will be communicated to you via email, especially those who have submitted. Like to get hold of us, they can go to the website. So once they download the document, they will be able to see the contact details of those who will be responsible. And then on the other side, you are more than welcome to contact us. My name is Ebital Maluleke. I'm still within the city. So if you want to know more about the agriculture and agro-processing strategy, feel free to contact us, as well as those who will be struggling to complete the tender document, working hand in hand with our divisional head for supply chain management, so that we can handhold you all through this process of getting all the information which is required when you're completing. And then, but please don't forget that the deadline is on the 31st of August, the 10 o'clock, as it was alluded by our DH. So please start working on the document, so that whenever you have any problem or any questions which needs to be asked around how to complete the document, as well as information on the strategy of agro-processing development, city, and you can be able to ask us. But don't wait up until the 31st. Since there won't be that extension of 5 days for you to resubmit whatever outstanding information which you might have missed on the document. So the sooner the better. Start contacting us. So then our next session will be at Ola Park. So feel free to join us on that if you want to also get more information about this engagement on the farm release program. So with that, I think I would like to close the session. So if there are any questions, feel free to contact us through cell phone, WhatsApp, email. We are always available to assist you. So at that note, I would like to take it, oh, okay. So I would like to request House Paul, our DH for supply chain, to close our session, our stakeholder engagement session with a prayer. Since she opened that with a prayer, we need to close it so that as we travel back to our respective offices, God will be with us. Thank you very much. But you.
Okay. Can we please bow our heads in prayer? Thank you, Lord Jesus, for the time that you had set aside for us to gather and share knowledge. May you please guide everyone that is about to walk out of this venue and make sure that they get to their next destination safe. In you we trust. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you very much, farmers, for attending. I would like to declare this session closed. Thank you.